Every year, millions of people decide to get into tech. Most of them pick a role based on what they've heard sounds good. 5 years later, half of them are in the wrong job wondering how they got there. Nobody tells you what tech jobs actually look like from the inside before you choose one. Most people assume a job title explains the job. That assumption is wrong in almost every case. Here is every major tech role, what the work actually involves, what it realistically pays in 2026, and which type of person genuinely survives in each one. The 3 questions that determine your role. Before the list, 3 questions that narrow this down faster than anything else. Do you prefer building things that didn't exist before? Do you prefer making existing systems work reliably? Or do you prefer working with people more than with systems? Building, software engineering, data science, UX design, maintaining and protecting, DevOps, network engineering, cybersecurity, QA, people and communication, product management, technical writing, tech sales. Hold your answer. It will come up again at the end. Software engineer, reading other people's code more than writing your own. The job title says engineer. The daily reality is reading existing code, debugging problems someone else created, sitting in meetings, reviewing other people's work, and occasionally writing new features. Most bootcamps teach you to build from scratch. Most jobs require you to inherit someone else's mess. The specializations that move the market in 2026: back-end systems, cloud infrastructure, and anything touching AI. Realistic salaries: entry-level $75,000 to $92,000. Mid-level $100,000 to $130,000. Senior $145,000 to $185,000 base. The Bureau of Labor Statistics median across all software developers is $130,160. At FANG tier companies, senior total compensation regularly exceeds $300,000 when equity is included. The personality that burns out, someone who needs immediate visible results. Debugging a production issue for 3 days with no user-facing output is standard. The personality that thrives, someone who finds satisfaction in systems working correctly rather than in recognition that they worked on them. Remote work reality. Software engineering is the most remote-friendly role on this list. A significant majority of open positions in 2026 offer hybrid or fully remote options. The geographic salary premium for San Francisco and New York still exists, but has narrowed as companies hire nationally. Data scientist and data analyst. These are 2 different jobs that share a title tier. A data analyst asks, what happened? They clean data, build dashboards, run queries in SQL, and present findings to people who make decisions. A data scientist asks, what will happen? They build predictive models, write Python, run statistical experiments, and explain results to non-technical stakeholders. Most job listings blur the distinction. Most bootcamps oversell the data scientist role and underteach the statistics it actually requires. Salary range: data analyst $65,000 to $95,000. Data scientist $100,000 to $145,000. Senior data scientists with domain expertise in finance or healthcare regularly earn $160,000 or more. The specific skills that push you to the higher end: SQL fluency, Python for modeling, and, more than any certification, the ability to translate statistical findings into business decisions that non-technical managers will act on. Cybersecurity analyst. There are currently more open cybersecurity positions than qualified candidates to fill them. ISC2's 2024 workforce study put the global shortage at 4.8 million professionals. That shortage matters for job seekers because it means entry paths are wider than most technical fields and negotiating leverage is higher. The daily reality varies by sub-role. A SOC analyst monitors alerts and investigates incidents, the role most people start in, with significant alert fatigue and irregular hours. A penetration tester is paid to break into systems before attackers do. A security engineer builds the defenses rather than monitoring them. Certifications that employers actually hire for: CompTIA Security, Plus for entry-level, CISSP for senior roles. CEH, Certified Ethical Hacker, is widely marketed but ranks below both in actual employer demand. Salary: SOC Analyst entry $55,000 to $75,000. Mid-level Security Engineer $100,000 to $140,000. Senior roles with CISSP in enterprise environments reach $150,000 to $200,000. CISOs at large organizations earn $250,000 or more. The personality fit: someone who is comfortable with ambiguity, not frustrated by false positives, and genuinely interested in how attackers think. DevOps and Cloud Engineer, the bridge role that pays like a senior engineer at mid-level. DevOps is the role that sits between software development and IT operations. Developers write code, operations teams keep systems running. DevOps engineers build the automated pipelines that connect both. In practice in 2026, Docker, Kubernetes, Terraform, CI/CD pipelines, and at least one major cloud platform, AWS, Azure, or GCP. AWS is the safest first specialization by market share. Azure dominates in enterprises that run Microsoft stacks. GCP is the choice for organizations doing serious AI and machine learning workloads. Salary range: $100,000 to $130,000 for junior to mid. Senior DevOps and cloud architects reach $144,000 to $180,000. The role pays above what most people expect at mid-level because demand consistently exceeds supply. The career path from here leads to cloud architect, a role that involves designing entire cloud infrastructures rather than maintaining them, and pays accordingly. Network engineer, the person who makes sure everything else can talk to each other. Network engineers design, build, and maintain the infrastructure that every other role on this list depends on. Without working networks, none of the code gets deployed, none of the data moves, and none of the security tools function. The certification path is Cisco-dominated. CCNA is the entry credential that gets you hired. CCNP takes you to mid-level specialist. CCIE is the expert-level qualification that fewer than 70,000 people in the world currently hold. Salary range: entry with CCNA $60,000 to $85,000. Mid-level network engineer $90,000 to $130,000. Senior network architect $130,000 to $175,000. Remote work reality: this is the hardest role on this list to do remotely. Physical infrastructure occasionally requires physical presence, and most network engineer roles are on-site or hybrid. The most stable career path in tech infrastructure, with genuine demand across every industry that has a building. The person who makes sure everything else on this list can actually communicate with each other. Product manager. Product managers decide what gets built and in what order. They do not manage engineers. They do not write code. They do not own the final technical decisions. What they actually do: talk to users, analyze data, write specifications, prioritize competing features, manage stakeholder expectations, and get blamed when things ship late. The two entry paths are from engineering and from business. Engineering backgrounds give you credibility with developers. Business backgrounds give you credibility in leadership meetings. Neither is definitively better. Both succeed and both struggle. Salary range: $100,000 to $130,000 at mid-size companies. Senior PMs at large tech companies reach $150,000 to $200,000 base. Principal PMs with equity at companies like Google or Meta can earn significantly more. The honest difficulty of this role: you are accountable for outcomes you don't fully control because the people who control them don't report to you. UX designer, the job that is not about making things look pretty. UX design is research, information architecture, and interaction logic. Making things look good is UI design, a different skill set with significant overlap. What UX designers actually do: interview users, map their workflows, build wireframes, run usability tests, document findings, and hand specifications to visual designers and developers. The tool that matters: Figma. It won the industry. Learn Figma first and everything else second. Portfolio matters more in this role than in any other on this list. No portfolio, no interviews, regardless of certifications or degree. Salary range: junior $55,000 to $75,000. Mid-level $85,000 to $110,000. Senior UX at a large tech company $120,000 to $160,000. Variance is higher in this role than almost any other because small companies and agencies pay significantly less than large product companies. The path in from non-tech backgrounds, psychology, graphic design, and anthropology all translate well because the core skill is understanding human behavior. IT support and systems administrator. IT support is where more people have started successful tech careers than any other role on this list. The work: fixing computers, setting up accounts, maintaining servers, managing backups, patching security vulnerabilities, and dealing with vendor relationships. It exists at every company of every size in every industry, which is the job security argument most people in flashier roles can't make. CompTIA. A+ and Network Plus are the standard entry credentials. They teach the fundamentals the job requires and are recognized by most IT hiring managers. Salary: entry help desk $40,000 to $55,000. Systems administrator $65,000 to $95,000. Senior sysadmin or IT manager $90,000 to $130,000. The path forward leads directly to network engineering, cloud engineering, or cybersecurity, all of which pay significantly more. IT support is not a destination, it's a foundation. QA engineer. The role developers underestimate until something breaks in production. Quality assurance engineers find bugs before users do. Manual testers write and execute test cases. Automation engineers write code that runs those tests automatically, faster and more reliably than any human. The gap between manual and automation, QA, is the gap between $60,000 and $100,000. The tools that make the transition: Selenium for web automation, Cypress for modern front-end, Jest for JavaScript unit testing. QA engineers who can code are consistently rarer and better compensated than supply would suggest, because most developers don't want to spend their time testing other people's work. Salary range: manual QA $50,000 to $75,000. Automation engineer $85,000 to $120,000. Senior SDET $120,000 to $150,000. This is the most accessible entry point into software engineering for people without a CS degree. Technical writer, the tech job that requires neither coding nor design. Technical writers produce the documentation that makes software usable: API guides, developer docs, user manuals, release notes. The best technical writers come from non-technical backgrounds: English, journalism, communications, who learn enough technical knowledge to explain it accurately. Tools: Confluence, Notion, Markdown, GitHub for developer-facing docs. Salary range: $65,000 to $90,000 junior to mid, senior $100,000 to $140,000 at large tech companies. The role is growing because software products are becoming more complex and user bases more global, and companies consistently underinvest in documentation until users complain at scale. If you can write clearly about things you've had to learn from scratch, this pays like a tech job without requiring you to become an engineer. Tech sales and solutions engineer. Enterprise account executives in tech have a median on-target earnings of $270,000, according to RepView data updated April 2026. That is higher, at median, than senior software engineers at most non-FAANG companies. Nobody talks about this because sales is not glamorous. It is, however, very well compensated. The roles: a solutions engineer, also called sales engineer, does technical demonstrations, builds proof of concepts, and answers the deep technical questions that close enterprise deals. They are the engineer on the sales team. Their OTE typically runs $175,000 to $220,000 with a more stable base than AEs. An account executive owns the relationship and closes the deal. More variable, higher ceiling. Both require the combination that is genuinely rare: technical understanding plus the ability to communicate that understanding to people who don't share it. The path in is typically from customer support, solutions consulting, or software engineering, not from traditional sales. The question that narrows this down faster than any assessment: what would you do for 8 hours without noticing the time? Building from zero: software engineering, data science, UX design. Making broken systems work: DevOps, network engineering, QA, cybersecurity. Explaining complex things to people who don't understand them: technical writing, product management, solutions engineering, tech sales. The highest paid person in tech is not always the software engineer. It is the person who understood their own strengths early enough to build them deliberately. The certifications that actually get you hired in these roles, which ones employers use to filter applications and which ones are expensive paper, that video is on screen.